Well, we are officially in Act 3 of episode Heresy, which means Rite of the Nine is right around the corner. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down Rite of the Nine based on the information we know as of now. Additionally, we're going to be going over the guides that we've made, loadout suggestions, weapon suggestions, and strategies you might want to use in this upcoming event. With this new activity, we've seen that there's going to be new difficulty options for you to select at the beginning of the Rite of the Nine event. So you can choose either a more guided path, a more standard dungeon path where it's not going to give you too many tips or tricks. And then additionally, there's going to be more of a day one experience for 3 of the dungeons in Destiny as of now. The dungeons it sounds like it's going to be covering for the Rite of the Nine event is going to be Prophecy Dungeon, the Spire of the Watcher, and Ghost of the Deep. For all 3 of these dungeons, we have made new guides for the year 2025 to show you how you can solo flawless them. So if you don't know how to do these dungeons, these are good videos for you to watch and kind of get acquainted with how to do these encounters. You'll know all the tips and tricks, all the builds we used. So I'll link those in the description and put them here in the video. Now, although these dungeon videos are good in my opinion, feel free to jump in and play these dungeons if you haven't played them in a while. They are likely going to change a bit for the Rite of the Nine event, but it's always good to understand the basics of how these dungeons work. Now, if you've watched our videos or if you've already played these dungeons recently, you'll have an idea of which loadouts work and which loadouts don't work. I would suggest lean heavily into the artifact mods, which would likely be a Strand, Void, or Arc subclass. Additionally, there is Prismatic, so you can work in that as well. One of the best builds this season has been the Arc Thundercrash Titan with Rally Barricade, Thunderclap, Pulse Grenade, Storm's Keep, Knockout. For our fragments, we've ran Spark of Shock, Spark of Feedback, Spark of Resistance, and Spark of Frequency. And for our exotic of choice, we've used the Insurmountable Skullfort. What this build allows you to do is have unlimited melee energy as well as using your Rally Barricade for good boss damage. So this is a very good build to run with a Well of Radiance Warlock and any sort of team damage sitting behind the Rally Barricade. And if things get tight, you can use your melee abilities to get your health back on a smaller opponent. Another build this season I've used quite frequently has been the Prismatic Titan, specifically with Thruster, Frenzied Blade, Pulse Grenade, Consecration, and Knockout. What's beautiful about this build is you have a few different supers to work with, so you can flex around with what's needed in the environment. From a fragment perspective, we've ran Facet of Protection, Facet of Blessing, Facet of Balance, Facet of the Awakening, and Facet of Mending. From an exotic standpoint, we're running Stoicism, and we were fortunate enough to get the Spirit of the Inmost Light and Spirit of the Star Eater. If you don't have this yet, go to the Pale Heart and focus on one of those perks. Additionally, you can go to Zur and buy a few every week, so be sure to take your chances, get a good roll that is a universal build, works with everything on the Prismatic Titan. Moving on to the Hunter, I would suggest running the Prismatic Hunter with either Golden Gun or Shadow Shot. This will give you either damage or support for your team. From an ability perspective, we are running Gambler's Dodge, Threaded Spike, and Grapple Grenade. For our aspects, we're running Winter's Shroud and Stylus Executioner. And for our fragments, we are running Facet of Dawn, Facet of Solitude, Facet of Blessing, Facet of Protection, and Facet of Purpose. For our exotic armor of choice, we have gone with the Exotic Cloak. Again, we are running the Inmost Light and Chirotacny, the one that grants Woven Mail on use of grenades, which also applies to our Grapple Grenade. And if you're just looking to be different, you can run the Strand subclass for the Hunter, which is the Thread Runner. Additionally, we can run Gambler's Dodge, Threaded Spike, Grapple Grenade. For our aspects, we are using the Threaded Spectre and Whirling Maelstrom. For our fragments, we are running Thread of Continuity, Thread of Transmutation, Thread of Fury, and Thread of Warding. For our exotic armor, we are running Balance of Power, which allows your Threaded Spectre to have increased duration, durability, and damaging it also releases Threadlings. This works quite well with the Strand pieces of the Artifact mod. So how this build works is you pick up a Tangle, throw it, activate your Whirling Maelstrom. If you get in trouble, you can dodge using Gambler's Dodge to get your melee back, and you have now a clone to distract enemies. So this works kind of well in both ways, but I would definitely suggest using the first build. And last but not least, I would suggest for the Warlock to have a Well of Radiance build ready to go for when the team needs it. From an ability perspective, we have Healing Rift. Again, you could select Phoenix Dive here as well. This is totally optional depending on the encounter. Celestial Fire for the melee and Healing Grenade for your grenade slot. From aspects, I would suggest Helion and Touch of Flame. From a fragment perspective, I would suggest Ember of Resolve, Ember of Empyrean, Ember of Benevolence, and Ember of Solace. From an exotic standpoint, we're running Speaker Sight, which allows our healing grenades to spawn a restorative turret. Healing allies occasionally spawns an Orb of Power. Now, this was recently nerfed, but still works great in every encounter. You can additionally run the new Adamantite from the Nether activity, or if you played the Final Shape campaign, you can run the No Hesitation Healing Auto Rifle as well. And for the last build suggestion, I would suggest running the Prismatic Warlock with a Song of Flame, specifically with abilities for Phoenix Dive, Arcane Needle, and Threadling Grenade. For aspects, I would suggest running Feed the Void and Lightning Surge. For fragments, I would suggest running the Facet of Protection, the Facet of Dawn, the Facet of Hope, the Facet of Dominance, and the Facet of Bravery. From an exotic armor piece, we have again selected the exotic Bond for the Warlock, and for our perks, we have the Spirit of the Necrotic and Spirit of the Star Eater. This build is great for running general ad clear with your Arcane Needle and your Lightning Surge abilities working in combo. Additionally, your Song of Flame is going to give you a huge damage resistance if needed at any point, so your survivability is absolutely through the roof. From a weapon perspective, I would suggest one of the main weapons I've been using this season has been the Unsworn Trace Rifle from the Sundered Doctrine dungeon. This is a great strand trace rifle, and it works fantastic as a secondary option in your kit. Additionally, I would suggest having the Navigator available if you have it from the Ghost of the Deep dungeon. This applies a lot of strand debuffs as well, which is very beneficial. Additional exotics I would keep in your kinetic weapon slot would be the Kvostov, the Witherhoard grenade launcher, and the new Barrow Dyad submachine gun. From a legendary weapon perspective, I would suggest keeping the Call sidearm from the Final Shape campaign and the Fatebringer hand cannon from the Vault of Glass raid. In your energy weapon slot, I would suggest having the Lord of Wolves shotgun readily available for use in certain encounters of any of these dungeons. It is quite good and does a lot of damage. It doesn't sync with any artifact surges, but it's great. It's a great shotgun. Legendary weapons in your energy slot I would suggest getting would be Joxer's Longsword from Crucible playlist, the No Hesitation auto rifle, the Reckless Oracle auto rifle from Garden of Salvation raid, the Callus Mini Tool submachine gun, and the Afterlight fusion rifle from this season's current activity. Now, in your power weapon slot, I would suggest having two different exotic weapons readily available, and that would be the Queensbreaker linear fusion rifle and the Microcosm trace rifle. From a legendary weapon perspective, I would suggest having the Commemoration or the Hammerhead machine gun for your Void artifact buffs. And that's about it. I haven't seen anything else for Rite of the Nine pop up in a while, so likely Bungie is cooking with this new activity. If you have any loadout suggestions or weapon suggestions, feel free to drop your suggestions in the comments. I want to see them. I want to know what the community is going to be running in the day one activities for Rite of the Nine. Additionally, if you have any strategies available for any of these dungeons, let the newer people of the community know by leaving a comment about what tips and tricks you would like to see new players or LFGers use for Rite of the Nine. If you like this video, feel free to give us a like, subscribe, comment. Additionally, we're live 3 nights a week over on Twitch. If you ever want to come out and hang out with us live, that's where we're at. So come on over. We'd love to have you. But that's all I got right now. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy.